Hey everybody, it's Mike from The Mike Wagner Show. If you like The Mike Wagner Show and you want to make your own podcast, well, let me tell you about Anchor. First of all, it's free. Secondly, there's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. You can also add any song from Spotify directly to your episodes. The possibilities are endless. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you. You can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, many more. You can also make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So download the free Anchor app or go to Anchor FM to get started. Hey everybody, it's Mike from The Mike Wagner Show, powered by SoundCloud Studios. Visit online at soundcloudstudios.com for all your needs. Looking at a professional website without breaking your budget, SoundCloud Studios is the answer. SoundCloud Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs at below the competition rate. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@soundcloudstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show, get 20% off your first project. SoundCloud Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, time to give official shout out to our official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Molson-Zia. If you love fast-paced mysteries, you'll love Missing by Mia Molson-Zia, available on Amazon paperback and ebook. Missing is fast-paced and intriguing with an unforgettable twist. Takes place in 4 countries, 2 strangers, 1 target, where truth is illusion and those you love will be the first to go missing. It's available on Amazon and paperback and ebook. Missing by Mia Molson-Zia has garnered great reviews, and Eve 11 enjoys about how its celebrities, including Joanna Cassie, Forrest Riley, and many others. So grab your copy today for Goes Missing by Mia Molson-Zia, available on Amazon. Also, check out The Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com on over 40 podcast platforms, heard in over 100 countries, including Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also, Anchor FM, iTunes, Google Play, Amazon, Audible, Apple Music, and also heard on HamiltonRadio.net, Diamonds FM, Oldies Radio, and a few networks coming soon. Take The Mike Wagner Show on any mobile device. Subscribe to The Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Follow The Mike Wagner Show on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok today. And for great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com and check out The Mike Wagner Show podcast. T-shirts, pop sockets, throw pillows, tote bags, hoodies, baseball gear. Makes great gifts 24/7. Go to Amazon.com and check out The Mike Wagner Show podcast. And for more great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com/Mia Molson-Zia for great books like Missing, Once, and Wrinkles. Also T-shirts, pop sockets, hoodies, phone cases, and more. Amazon.com/Mia Molson-Zia. Check it out today. I'll support The Mike Wagner Show on Anchor FM, PayPal, and themikewagnershow.com. Make sure you do so today. We're here with a terrific gentleman who's from outside San Francisco. He's a filmmaker, producer, cinematographer, and editor and director for over 10 years in feature films, broadcast commercials, how-to DVDs, and more. He is a multi-award winning film fest winner in Italy, Arizona, and Melbourne. Also nominated in Chicago, Philadelphia, Atlanta, Oakland, Dances with Film Fest, and more. His new release follows Jake, a videographer who discovers a portal to another dimension, which he basically he has everything he wanted. Quickly going back and forth between the 2 worlds, his wife, his daughter, and everything else, and talks about the alternate and also his other works like Brother, Strange Thing, and also The Rage. And live, ladies and gentlemen, from the Plus Studios somewhere in the Bay Area, the multi-talented filmmaker, producer, cinematographer, editor, and director for 10 years. Ladies and gentlemen, the multi-talented Alrik Bursell. Alrik, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for joining us today.
Hey, Mike, thanks so much for having me on the show, man. What an intro. Holy shit.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. You got a king's score of accomplishments. It's like, I probably just dragging like this for about maybe 20 minutes before we finally get to talking about what you're doing. So
Amazing.
So it is amazing, too, that you're a film director, producer, cinematographer, editor, and director for over 10 years of feature films, broadcast commercials, how-to DVDs. You're also a multi-award winning Film Fest winner in Italy, Arizona, and Melbourne. You're nominated in Chicago, Philadelphia, Atlanta, Oakland. Also Dancing with Film Fest in Los Angeles. You also have a new release which follows Jake, a videographer who discovers a portal to another dimension, which he has everything. And of course, quickly goes back and forth between 2 worlds with his wife, Chris, daughter, and everything else. You also have Brother, Strange Things, The Rage. And we're going to talk about the alternate as well, too, which is an amazing film. Before getting all that, Alrik, tell us how I first got started.
So, I mean, I think I made my first movie in high school, was when I really first got started with it. I had a couple friends who were making movies, actually when they were younger. And I got asked to be the cinematographer on a short film, at 16 years old, and
Mm.
got a camera in my hands, and I was working with my buddy. Had already like directed a couple things and starred in a few movies. And I mean, we're 16 years old, and so I'm looking at him like he's the one who's accomplished. But of course, we've all done nothing. But that was really the first thing I ever really made as a movie. And we all did it together, and we like shot on my friend's roof, in Albany, California, right outside of San Francisco, and near Berkeley. And yeah, that was sort of like where I caught the bug. And then in high school, I took a couple of video production courses and got a chance to use some more equipment and make some of my own movies. And then that just took me right to college, where I just kept diving into it. I didn't do filmmaking in college. I did broadcasting. So I learned like radio and television was my major. And I did lots of classes about like, old school video production. But one of the things that was really beneficial to us at the time was the broadcasting department had gone digital, where the filmmaking department was still shooting on film back when I was at SF State. And
Wow.
so we got a, yeah, which was like, completely useless
Yeah,
at the
yeah,
time.
night
I
and day,
mean,
like two portals, just like the alternate. So
right. So yeah, so I got to learn a lot of digital cameras as a broadcasting major, and then like when I graduated, I had all these skills. I could like shoot, I could edit, I could do all these things. And then I got a couple jobs working on some movies as a PA and even assistant director really early on, and that was sort of how I got my feet wet. And then I got another internship and just kept on taking jobs, and eventually got ingrained in the filmmaking community here in the Bay Area. And I was able to quit my day job and have been doing anything but filmmaking or video production since.
that is so amazing too. And of course, you talk about the instances, like you have the camera, you have the classes, and of course, you have the other jobs and everything else. What was that one precise moment of all that simply influenced you into what you're doing for the rest of your career?
Yeah, I think I've always knew that I wanted to make movies, but when I was younger, I didn't think I could, because I grew up in Berkeley. Like, we were very far from Los Angeles. I mean, ILM was the closest thing that we had to any kind of filmmaking. So there's like a couple people that like my parents knew who like maybe worked at ILM once or helped out on a movie here or there, but I didn't have any connections to that world. So it kind of felt very distant to me until like when I started to make my own stuff in high school, where it felt like, okay, I could do this. And then suddenly when I was like PAing on, there was a big show that shot in the Bay Area for a few years called Trauma. It was like an NBC Universal production. So
Mm-hmm.
when I got on that show and I was working as a PA and I saw how big it was, and like 200-person crews, and like watching the directors do their thing and everything, it kind of started to become more real. But I mean, I guess the moment where like I knew that I was just going to do this for the rest of my life was I think I was doing sales jobs, and I was also a bouncer when I was in my early 20s. And one day I got called to work on a movie for like 60 days or 30 days or something, and I just like quit all my other jobs. I just was like, oh, I'm not coming in on Monday. Sorry, no 2 weeks notice or anything. Yeah, well, you won't see me for a while. Just,
Well, I'll
and
see
as
you
a
in the
bouncer,
movies.
it's okay. No one really cares, but as my sales job, I basically couldn't go back there anymore. So that was done with.
Hmm. But of course, you could sell them a movie as well, too, maybe some tickets or something, and maybe we'll get a
Yeah.
redemption. So,
Yeah, exactly.
and who are some of your favorite, actors, directors, and producers, and writers growing up?
So yeah, well, in the early days, I was really inspired by Quentin Tarantino and Martin Scorsese. There were some of my heroes as a young kid. I didn't know it, but I was like a humongous Robert Zemeckis fan. I was like the biggest Back to the Future fan when I was a
Oh
young kid.
yeah, I saw all three. That was one of the best. I think Who Framed Roger Rabbit. That was another one too.
Oh,
So
me too. Yeah, that was another one of my favorites. Like when growing up, but I didn't even know who Robert Zemeckis was, because like I was just watching these movies as a kid. Like, oh my god! And then by the time I was a teenager, that's when I started to like associate with directors. And like, really kind of fell in love with the, Tarantino. Kevin Smith, was a huge influence back in those early days, and then as I got older, starting to get more into the older filmmakers like John Carpenter and David Cronenberg and those guys from the 80s who had been making these amazing sci-fi thrillers, horror movies, and in that era. I think that was kind of became some of my big inspirations for my own work later on. When I went and finally got to make my own movies.
And of course, talk about making your own movies and everything else. What's your favorite genre and what's your favorite, style of directing? Of course, you got the film noir and, whatever else. It's like, what's your favorite genre, also favorite style of directing?
So I think science fiction, or any combination of science fiction is my favorite. It's like sci-fi thrillers, sci-fi horror, even sci-fi comedy. I think anything in sci-fi I just love. I really like film noirs a lot, funny enough, but I mean, I feel like anything that's in a genre, the world of genre. So like it doesn't have to necessarily be like sci-fi, but it could be horror, it could be thriller, anything with like that kind of genre edge to it. Like I just really, really fall in love with, And as far as like tones and styles, like I think I like when things are a little uncertain, where it's like a little bit of a mix of inspirations, when you have like something that really feels like, like a really classic horror or science fiction movie, but then does something that completely surprises you, like and feels like a completely different genre where you're not expecting that to happen within this type of movie. I think that really, it really is exciting.
Hmm. That is interesting. You mentioned about the Amethyst, and what about some of your other favorite movies growing up?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, when I was really young, I loved the Ninja Turtles. That was like my favorite movie for a very long time.
Not the Michael Bay
Uh,
version. I'm kidding.
Not the Michael A. Bay. All I did force myself to go watch in the theater, but no, the original Ninja Turtles movies, from the early '90s. But yeah, I mean, I think now, like, yeah, some of my favorite movies. I mean, I really like From Dusk Till Dawn a lot. Talking about Robert Rodriguez and Quentin Tarantino. I mean, that's a really amazing movie I can watch over and over again. I still watch Back to the Future all the time. Die Hard, I watch all the time. Alien and Aliens and Terminator.
Mhm.
Those three are like basically on repeat in my house too. And then also another one I have to mention is Fifth Element, which is like a little bit more of a modern day movie, but like as far as like a sci-fi epic, or even not to call it epic, it's just a sci-fi action movie. It's like you really can't get much better than the Fifth Element.
Yeah, I remember watching The Fifth Element with Bruce Willis in it too, and that was a really good one. And going
Yeah.
back to the future, I mean, you've seen like so many times. Let me ask you this: what's your favorite scene in Back to the Future? I'm gonna throw this one at you, especially in the first one. What's your favorite scene?
In the first one. Yeah, my favorite scene in Back to the Future. Oh, that is such a hard question to answer because I really feel like that movie is perfect. I guess when they go back to the future go back in time for the first time, when they like are in the parking lot and it's all kind of being revealed to Marty, and like he's watching the time machine in action. They do the test, and then like the terrorists come and attack them, and then he gets just shot right back into the 50s. That whole sequence is incredible, and I almost cry every time you see the machine go back in time. I'm like, I always get a little tear. It's just so magical to me.
And also keeps you on your feet too. It's like you hit that thing at the precise second. It's like if it doesn't, they're pretty much stuck forever. But I still remember the
Yeah.
part where he goes into a diner. He goes, "I like a Pepsi free." He goes, "No, that's gonna cost you." I like a Pepsi free. You remember that? You remember the drink Pepsi free as I could drink it? No, that's gonna cost you. I think that's still funny. They're arguing over
Oh
that. So
yeah. No, it's hilarious. 80s slang that like doesn't exist now, that doesn't make sense in 1955, and it also doesn't make sense in 1922 in 2022. It's like it's so funny. Pepsi free. No one talks like that.
oh yeah, and of course, going to portals as well too. Also, maybe think of it. It talks about John F. Kennedy says JFK, and then looking at Who the hell's JFK?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, speaking of portals, the other movie I really love a lot that I didn't mention is Stargate. I'm a humongous Stargate fan, which I think is one of the reasons why I like portals so much. And I've made multiple movies and things with portals in them.
Mm-hmm. And of course, you also made a portal yourself with the Altar. We'll talk about that with some of your works and accolades. But first, listen to the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com, powered by SonicWeb Studios. Visit online at SonicWebStudios.com for all your needs. Look at a professional website without breaking a budget. SonicWeb Studios is the answer. SonicWeb Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960, or email to support@SonicWebStudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show, get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, time to give an official shout out to our official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Mosensia. If you love fast-paced mysteries, you'll love Missing by Mia Mosensia, available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing is fast-paced and intriguing with an unforgettable twist. Takes place in 4 countries, 2 strangers, 1 target, where truth is illusion and those you love be the first go missing. It's available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing by Mia Mosensia has garnered great reviews. And Eve 11 enjoys by Howard celebrities, including Joanna Cassie, Boris Riley, and Eminems. So grab your copy today for Goes Missing by Mia Mosensia, available on Amazon. Also, check out the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com on over 40 podcast platforms, heard in over 100 countries. Also on HamiltonRadio.net, Diamonds FM, Oldies Radio, and a few more. Take us with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok today. For great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com and check out the Mike Wagner Show podcast. And for more great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com/Mia Mosensia for great books, merchandise, and more. I'll support the Mike Wagner Show on Anchor FM, PayPal, and the MikeWagnerShow.com. Make sure you do so today. We're here with the multi-talented filmmaker, producer, cinematographer, and editor and director for 10 plus years, Alrik Bursell, here on the Mike Wagner Show. And you've done a lot of things: feature films, broadcast commercials, how-to DVDs. And I guess I just kind of asked this question here. It's like, what are some of your favorite commercials you've done and some of the how-to DVDs?
Yeah, oh my God. That's funny that you mentioned the how-to DVDs. That's a funny part of my career I've done. I've made the menus, the whole thing, made all the videos that go into them, the whole deal. So yeah, I guess my favorite commercials are probably the biggest ones that I produced. I worked on a couple for the NFL and Doritos. Nice. So we did 20 spots for them back in 2017 that aired on YouTube, and they got millions and millions and millions of hits. And it was with different football players from different teams, like interacting with these chips, and the whole concept was an assembly line of the chips coming off the line. And so we like shot in a brewery over here in the San Francisco Bay Area, and we got an NFL star to come out and do a little gag with the conveyor belt and the chips, and we came up with all these props and all these amazing things different gags to do with the chips, and like shooting them with steam and then like blowing them with horns, and it was all kind of designed around the different fan traditions. Like we had the terrible towels waving on the chips in one of them, and yeah, it was really fun and inventive, and I'm a huge sports fan, so it was cool to be a part of something that I love, and making an ad for it. So those are probably my favorite of the commercials. The how-to DVDs. So I made a few of them. The one that was probably my favorite was this one I did for and it was funny because we didn't really ever do the DVD part, because by the time that we finished the project, DVDs were kind of out of style, but it was a series of educational lessons on how to do calligraphy. So it was we filmed these calligraphy masters doing different penmanship, basically lessons on how to write in calligraphy. And those were really fun. We had 4 cameras that we had set up, like one over top to capture the angle of just the words and the pen. And then we had one on the hand just to get the hand movement and the way that you hold the pen. And then we had one on the person speaking. And then we had another angle to get, details of the writing and everything. So it was really fun to do. And that was probably my favorite. I got to mention this other one though. Heather Howard's this woman that I worked with. She's a sex therapist basically, and so we
Huh.
made these movies about like it's her company's called Ergo Erotics. So it's basically how to get back into a relationship, like a physical relationship with your partner after you have some sort of injury. So we did
Huh.
all these different movements and you know, like a demonstration on what how do you go into positions that are good if you've had hip surgery or if you've had back
Oh, oh
surgery
my gosh.
or
Wow.
and we spent like 4 years working on that together, and Heather and I became friends. We worked on that thing for so
I
long. So yeah, shout out to Heather. You should check out Ergo Erotics. It's a really cool company.
think we'll make the point in Valentine's Day, or maybe like a gift for your lover too. So we'll just make it a
Yeah.
point too. Yeah. And of course, I thought
Yeah, if you
about
fall
the
off a bike or whatever and you got an injury and you still want to get back in the sack, it's perfect for that.
oh, there you go. I think we should make a commercial out of that too. So, just like the Doritos. And of course, being a big football fan, I bet you probably liked it when you had somebody from the 49ers or the Raiders on too. Could you imagine that? So
Oh yeah. Yeah, we didn't have anybody from the Bay Area teams in those spots we did, which was really unfortunate. But I did get to meet Jerry Rice once, which was pretty cool. But not actually. Oh man, and I worked with another Niner. Gosh, what was it for? It was some sort of thing I did where we had one of the old Niners, and yeah, we did a little video shoot with them. God, I can't remember which one it was though, but
what
yeah,
what's
it's
that
always
from the
fun.
what's that from the 80s or 90s or maybe like 2000s or 10 or 20 or
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think it was probably from the 2010s around there. He was a linebacker. I don't remember his name right now,
what
but he
was
was a
what
really nice guy.
was it, Patrick Willis or
It was Patrick Willis.
it was? Ah, how you
It
like that? I
was.
still remember the ones from the 80s, like Keith Fanhorst, and of course you had
Yeah.
like Jack Reynolds. I think you had John Lynch in there too. It's like somewhere
Yeah.
along those lines. I remember those guys from the 80s and 90s too. They won so many Super Bowls. But yeah, Patrick Willis, I think it just hit on the head too. So wow.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's actually really funny that you got it right. That was the one I was thinking of.
Ah, how you like that? Great minds think alike. You're also multi-award-winning film fest winner in Italy, Arizona, and Melbourne. You also got nominated in Chicago, Philadelphia, Arizona, Atlanta, Oakland, Dances with Film Fest, Los Angeles, and tell us about some of the accomplishments as well too. It's like I said, you got a huge
Yeah.
laundry list. It's amazing.
Yeah, so the alternate did really well. Like I'd been working on this movie for 8 years, raising the money, getting it together, writing it, building the team, and we finally got it shot right before the pandemic happened in late 2019, early 2020, and then we took a year to do post production work on it, and then in I guess it was 2021 is when we did our film festival run, and we premiered at Dances with Films in Los Angeles, and then yeah, we got to go to Germany where we got nominated for a bunch of awards. That same weekend, we played in Italy, which I actually got to go to, and we won the gold ring at the
Nice.
Ravenna Nightmare Film Festival, which was like a huge honor and completely blew me away. And I mean, I was over there in Italy and I did this I got like an interview, and it's complete all in Italian. Like I don't speak any Italian, and they had a translator
But you
for
speak
me,
with their hands.
and it was really fun, and they were so great. The audiences really came out and supported the movies. There was like almost a packed theater for my screening, and it's so interesting because like most American audiences, like when they watch the movie, there's all these like audible reactions, like especially in the bigger moments, like people are like going oh and oh my god and whatever, and then like with the Italian audience, it's like dead silent the
it,
whole time, like
it'd be like an
completely
opera,
silent.
even if it's something funny too. It's like an opera.
Yeah. But then when the movie ended, it was like erupted with like applause. It was crazy. I was like, oh wow. I mean, it was such a different experience than seeing a movie in America. And then like right after that is when they announced the winners of the awards, and they're like, don't go anywhere. I was like, okay, I'll stay. And then when I got I mean, I was just completely blown away. And we had got like a bunch of good reviews in Italy and in the press out there, and it was a really a magical experience. sadly didn't get to go to Melbourne because it was during the pandemic. So they didn't do, I think they did do a live screening, but they weren't allowing filmmakers to travel during that time. So I couldn't go. I didn't get to go to a lot of them. There was like, we actually won in Atlanta also. I didn't get to go to that one. But luckily, we had one in Phoenix in earlier this year in the beginning of 2022 in April, I believe it was. And we won that one also. And I got to go to that one, which was really wonderful. So yeah, lots of really amazing experiences and just really lucky and like feel really grateful that audiences have been reacting to the movie the way they have. Because, when you put your whole life into something, for someone to react that way and be so excited to see it and like it really does mean a lot.
And certainly does a lot. And it shows in your work too. You got Brother, you got Strange Thing, and also The Rage as well too. And tell us about some of those movies. If you got some other works, feel free to talk about those as well.
Sure. So those are like my first short films. Strange Thing was the very first one that I made, and that one played at over 20 film festivals around the world and ended up getting quite a few views online, about 200,000 across YouTube and Vimeo over the years. So that was like an amazing experience. And I basically thought that after I made that I would be ready to make my first feature film. But then it took me so long to like raise the money and figure out how to get the alternate made that I just kept on making short films in between just to kind of keep my my skills sharp. And also because I kind of felt like, especially with the second one with Brother, I was like, oh yeah, like I played 20 film festivals, like, oh, I'm gonna like blow them away. I'm gonna get all these views. It's gonna go viral. It's gonna get millions of hits. People are not even like, this movie's gonna just blow people away. And then like I only submitted to about, I think, 20 film festivals, and with Strange Thing, I'd submitted to like over 60 or so. And so we got into only like 5 or 6 film festivals, like a really like a small amount because I didn't apply to very many. And then when we released online, like the reception wasn't nearly the same. Like we got like maybe a few thousand hits in the first week, and then all said and done, it's probably got like like 10,000, maybe 12,000 hits. So that movie was like a big lesson in that like you can't, like, just because you made something that people reacted to really big the first time, it doesn't mean that you can shortcut yourself to success the second time. Like you have to realize like what you did on the first one was like those steps were all important. Like, so like submitting to that many film festivals, spending like $2,000, $3,000 on film festival submissions, like all that stuff was huge in the way the movie was received by the world, because I got into all these film festivals, I won these awards. And then when the movie came out online, I was able to reach out to those film festivals and promote the release of the movie through the film festivals. And if I hadn't done that, like, which I didn't do for the second movie, it just didn't reach nearly as many people. Like people just weren't talking about it in the same way. And so I kind of learned through that I was like, okay, you have to like respect the process, right? And like you actually, and then don't over like don't set your goals too high and like think you're going to achieve something just because you had success the first time. It's like you have to like each project, you have to basically look at it like from starting from ground zero. It's not like you're building off one to the other. It's like you basically, each movie, it's its own thing, and you have to earn the audience's respect the same way each time.
That's a really interesting point as well, too. And we'll talk about the alternate in just 1 minute. You're listening to The Mike Widener Show at themikewidenershow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Also brought to you by our official sponsor of The Mike Widener Show, international warring author Mia Molson Dead Missing, available on Amazon and paperback and ebook. We'll be back with filmmaker, producer, cinematographer Alrik Bursell after this time out. We're back with filmmaker, producer, cinematographer, editor, and director Alrik Bursell and Mike Bursell on the Mike Widener Show. We're talking about the movie The Alternate. I mean, you won all these awards and everything. Had a great history, and of course, your latest project as well too. It's follows Jake, a videographer who discovers a portal to another dimension of the world, which has everything he's owned. It's almost like a story where it's like you got your beautiful wife, got your kids and all that, but going back and forth, you got 2 different stories. And tell us more about that. What inspired you to do The Alternate?
So my first short film, Strange Thing, that we were talking about, had a monster in it. And I knew that like going into my first feature film, there's no way that I was going to be able to make a movie that had a monster for a 90-minute movie. Like it just wasn't going to happen because the budget would be like, 5 million, 10 million. And there's no way that I was going to raise that kind of money on my first movie. So I was thinking of like, what can I do? Like, what's going to be on the other side of a portal, like in another dimension that's scarier than a monster. And I just thought of like the worst version of myself. And so that's sort of like the starting point for like coming up with that idea. And then I wrote the ending of the movie first, which I don't know if you've seen it, but it's got a very strong, surprising ending. And then from the ending, I kind of wrote back towards it from the beginning and like kind of got our characters to where it ends, and that's sort of my approach of how I looked at it. And I drew a lot from my life as a videographer, and a filmmaker, like trying to make my first feature. And I kind of infused a lot of that kind of those struggles and some of even the conversations I've had with my wife about like, raising money to make movies, and using our own personal money to make movies, into the script. So there's a lot of like my real life experience that like is like laid into the story, and then that's kind of like how the two different versions of Jake were born. It's like the worst version of myself, basically, and then the best, like, most aspirational version of myself as the other version. So that was sort of where I got the two different sides and how I came up with this idea of the two different worlds that these characters live in.
And also too, that's going back and forth. You got his wife, and then and of course his wife marries somebody else, and of course he has a beautiful daughter and a daughter he never knew. So I mean, that's got to be something to hard to deal with,
Right.
and describe and everything else. So it sounds like the ultimate Back to the Future right there.
Yeah, well, it's the really thing that's the messed up part is it's like she didn't marry somebody else. That it's just it is him. It's just not the man he is, right? Like so, it's hard. It's like you can't really be jealous of someone else that has created this life that you wish you had. When it's like you actually see that it's you who've created it in this other world, and the way that the character interprets that is like, oh well, it's not that I haven't done it yet. It's that that it's just like they basically start to think that they did do it, but they didn't. But they want to take the credit for doing it, and they want to feel like they deserve it, even though they don't. So that's why he starts to get attached to this other world, to this other version of his wife, this daughter that he's never had, and this filmmaking career that he's been longing for a long time. And then he basically decides that he's the one who deserves it. He tries to take it from his other self. So it's not like that's like she married somebody else. She still married him. It's just like he became a much better person in this other world.
That's really interesting as well too. And what do you want audiences to get from the movie?
you know um I really wrote this movie to be about like entitlement, and how like people feel like they should have everything instantly, just given to them. Like, they should just,
Gratification, yes.
oh, yeah, like I want, like, I think it comes from our cell phones, right? Like we have instant gratification with technology. Like everything is right at our fingertips. We have access to it, in less than a second to anything that you could ever think of. And I think that people walk into situations kind of expecting it to be the same way, that like they're just going to be instantly great at something, and they're instantly going to win, and they're instantly going to have everything they want. And what I wanted to show is that, like, well, even if you did walk into the perfect version of your life and you instantly did have all these things, like you don't actually deserve them, and therefore you can't really actually enjoy them or have them, And that was sort of the theme, my thesis for the story. So I hope people watch this movie and really get a kick out of it and enjoy it, and they start to ask themselves these questions, like what would I do if I was presented with a portal? Like, would I go inside the portal? Would I try to take my perfect life from my other self, or would I take this information and actually do something good for my own self with it? Like I think those are the kinds of questions I want people to be asking themselves after they watch this movie.
That's really interesting as well too. And we're looking forward to it. Where can we find the alternate and all your works at?
So the alternate's coming out on digital and DVD on September 13th, on Tuesday the 13th. And it'll be available on Amazon, on Vudu, anywhere that you can rent or buy a movie online. Like, if you got Comcast, Spectrum, like all the different cable on-demand sources. I have the full list, but it's pretty much everywhere that you can rent a movie. It could be online, and then you can also buy the DVD. We've got special features. We've got 2 audio commentaries and deleted scenes and behind-the-scenes featurettes and everything. And that you can all find on my website at alrikbursell.com.
We'll certainly check that out. We're once again with filmmaker, producer, cinematographer, editor, and director Alrik Bursell here on the Mike Wagner Show with The Alternate. And Alrik, what else can we expect from you in 2022 and beyond?
So I'm working on another movie night right now with my producer Jeffrey Allard, and we don't know when that movie is going to shoot or what's going to happen with it, but it's going to be a thriller, like 90s type of modern Western type story with lots of fun characters and lots of just like a really fun story. But I can't really say much about it. But it's all going to be set in the backwoods of America. So that's going to be really fun. But yeah, I think for right now, you just look out for The Alternate. Watch the movie. I would love to hear what you think of it. I'm on all the social medias. I'm on Twitter, Instagram at Alrik Bursell, and also on Facebook, Alrik Bursell. And the movie The Alternate's on all the sites as well. Alternate Film on Facebook and Instagram. So just and Twitter too, Alternate Film 1. So just find us, watch the movie, rate it on IMDb Pro, rate it on Letterboxd. Just give it some love, and I hope that you guys like it.
We certainly will do so and check that out. And who do you consider your biggest influence in your career?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I think it really would be, I think John Carpenter is Robert Rodriguez and or also David Cronenberg. I've taken three people. Those are my biggest influencers at the moment. And I love all their films, and I really look to them to think about the way that I tell my stories and think about, my filmmaking.
That's certainly interesting as well. And what's the best advice you can give to anybody at this point?
Well, I think for any artist or anyone who is trying to make something and follow a career that they're not necessarily getting paid to do as their main thing, I just say keep doing it. Do what you love. Don't give up on it. It may feel like it's a long way away from your dream and what you want to actually do, but just trust me. If I can figure out how to make my first feature film and get it released and distributed and be talking to people like Mike on the internet right now, I think anyone can. So just go out there and make your movie, or paint your painting, or open your restaurant, or brew your beer, whatever it is.
I'm right for one since you mentioned it.
Exactly.
Or have some Doritos with your favorite football player from the 49ers too. So.
Exactly. Right.
Oh my gosh, that's something. We're here with Alrik Bursell of The Alternate here on the Mike Wagner Show. Alrik, a very big thank you for your time. You've been absolutely fantastic. Learned a lot from you. Looking forward to having you soon. Make sure you keep us up to date. Keep in touch. Love to have you back. And once again, tell us about your upcoming projects. What's your website? How do people contact? Or can people purchase, check out, or especially looking for The Alternate?
So you can find me at www.alrikbursell.com. I also have my own podcast. I got to give a shout out to makingmoviesishard.com. That's my filmmaking podcast. We do a once a week episode about, how the struggles of being an independent filmmaker. I do it with my co-host, Liz Minichel, who's also a 2-time feature filmmaker. And we have guests on from all over the world talking about how they're making their movies. So make sure to check out Making Movies is Hard as well. And yeah, this, September 13th, that's the big date. Look out for The Alternate, buy it, rent it. We've got a pre-order link through iTunes right now. So find it on iTunes, pre-order the movie. The more pre-orders we get, the better. So yeah, get out there and give The Alternate some love. That's all I got to say.
We certainly will do so. Once again, Alrik, a very big thank you for your time. You've been absolutely fantastic. Looking forward to having you soon. Make sure you keep us up to date. Keep in touch. Love having you back. Wish you all best. And Alrik, you definitely have a great future ahead of you.
Thanks, Mike. This has been fun.